Take it, friends. Arm yourselves with knowledge.
What do you get when you have a Brazilian black man and a Swiss man in the same weight class and very different fighting styles? You match them up and make them brawl for their spot in this league. This is precisely why Johnny Walker and Volkan Oezdemir are going to fight on the very first Saudi Arabian card. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into the casuals guide. Johnny Walker is a man who lives by the sword and dies by the sword. A physical specimen to some, a caveman freak to others. He has a mixed record of 21 wins, 8 losses. At one point, some people thought he was the chosen one to dethrone the legend John Bones Jones. But fate had other plans. Johnny Walker made his professional debut, way back in 2013 by fighting a man with an absurd name, Francisco. He went on a 3-fight win streak, finishing them all in the very first round. Then he took his first loss by TKO in the second round. He then went on a 4-fight win streak and got submitted in round 2 as well. Then he won a single fight to just lose again by KO in 18 seconds into the very first round. But that wasn't all. He went on a 4-fight win streak before getting his big shot on Dana White's Contender Series where he won. Also, it was his first fight that went the distance. Then he had an insane debut against a great fighter in Khalil Roundtree, where Walker landed a vicious elbow in the clinch and flatlined Roundtree in the very first round. Then he smoked Justin Ledet with a spinning back fist just 15 seconds into the very first round. With all the hype building around Walker, he had a matchup against Misha Serkinov and destroyed him just 38 seconds into the very first round. So he got pushed up the rankings and met now Bellator fighter Corey Anderson and was at the wrong end of a knockout just 2 minutes and 7 seconds into the very first round. In his next fight, he had another tough fight on his hands against Nikita Krylov, where he lost in a unanimous decision. So the UFC gave him a break, matched him up with then up-and-comer Ryan Superman Spann, where he got back into the win column by knockout in the first round. So the UFC pushed him a little bit more, and he fought an old, grizzled veteran in Thiago Santos in his first 5-round fight and lost a unanimous decision. After that rough loss, he got matched up with another then up-and-comer and soon-to-be champion Jamal Hill, where he got KO'd in the first round just 2 minutes and 55 seconds in. Unfortunately, he didn't just get knocked out. He was mocked, he was memed, and made to look like a fool with this knockout, which lit a fire under his ass. He would go on a 3-fight win streak, beating 3 veterans, Ian Cutelaba, Paul Craig, and Anthony Lionheart Smith. He ended up submitting Cutelaba, destroyed Paul Craig by TKO. Both of those were in the first round, and put on a clinic against Anthony Smith in a decision win. It looked like he was back better than ever, but in his last fight, at the beginning of the year, he got KO'd badly by a championship level fighter in Magomed Ankalaev. If you weren't keeping track, Walker currently has 16 knockout wins, 3 submission wins, and 2 decision wins, and percentage-wise, he has an absurd 76% knockout rate in his wins. And his 8 losses have been 5 by KO, 1 by submission, and 2 decision losses, as well as 1 no contest. So, Walker is the definition of kill or be killed, and now he is set to fight a grizzled Swiss veteran in Volkan Oezdemir. Now we're going to take a peek into Volkan Oezdemir's luxurious career. Volkan is an extremely grizzled veteran who is in his physical prime, being 34 years old with 19 wins and 7 losses. He made his professional debut 14 years ago in 2010, then being signed to Bellator in 2013. That is also where he took his first professional loss to an unknown Kelly Inunson, where he lost his contract to the esteemed promotion. However, he would go on a 2-fight win streak in 2016. Then in 2017, he went on and got signed to the biggest promotion in the history of MMA. He made his UFC debut against a future title challenger in Ovince St. Preux, also known as OSP, where Volkan would go on to win a controversial split decision. Then he would go on to fight the Latvian beast in Misha Serkinov. Volkan would obliterate Misha 28 seconds into the very first round. Then he fought a young prospect in Jimmy Manuwa. He would also demolish Jimmy just 42 seconds into the very first round by knockout. But then he would get matched up against a champion and future Hall of Famer, Daniel Cormier, and his career would take a turn for the worst, where he lost by TKO just 2 minutes into the second round. Then he would fight Anthony Smith and lose by rear naked choke just 3 minutes in. Then Volkan would fight Dominic Reyes and be on the wrong end of a controversial split decision. But that's not the end. Volkan would win his fight against Ilir Latifi by knockout at the end of the second round and go on to win another split decision against Alexander Ratchik. But then he would get matched up against a future champion, Yuri Prohaska, where he would get KO'd in the second round. Then he would fight an up-and-coming Magomed Ankalaev and lose in a dominant unanimous decision. But then he would turn the tables when he fought Paul Craig and won by a dominant decision. Then he would go on to fight Nikita Krylov and was on the wrong end of a dominant decision. And in his most recent fight, he would destroy a no-name in Brogdon Guskov by rear naked choke just 3 minutes into the very first round. Now he is set to face a freak of nature in Johnny Walker. It is no question Volkan has went up and fought some of the very best fighters in the UFC, and if you paid attention, you'd see he has only lost to the top 5 fighters, with the worst of those being Anthony Smith. And Smith is still a beast, so Volkan isn't a walk in the park for anybody, and I feel like he has a very real chance at getting the upset against Walker. But Walker has some insane power, unorthodox techniques, where he would connect on Volkan's chin with a crazy shot and put his lights out. And let's not pretend Volkan hasn't KO'd folks. He has many first round finishes, and most of those were by way of the knockout. This is a great and interesting fight, and I can't wait to watch it. This has been the Casual's Guide to Walker versus Oezdemir. If you guys watched the video this far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And let me know who you have winning this matchup. Have a fantastic week and enjoy the fights on Saturday.